ජීවිතේ වැඩිපුර ලැබෙන හොඳම දේවල් විඳින්න. දැන් SLT Broadband වෙතින් 75% දක්වා වැඩිපුර data සතුට ජනවාරි 1 වෙනිදා සිට ශ්‍රී ලංකා ටෙලිකොම්.
People's franchise. Almost 16 million people are set to exercise their right to vote in the 2018 local authorities election. Clarification. The central bank rejects Auditor General's allegations of debt concealment, says it coordinates with various bodies to ensure accuracy. Not agreeable. The Attorney General's Department files written objections of a bail application of Perpetual Treasury's duo. Conditional freedom. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says that Dr. Udayanga Weerathunga is released by the UAE authorities, but is prevented from leaving its territory. Hard graft. Bangladesh endure a miserable day with both bat and ball in the second day of the second test with Sri Lanka. Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamke Kanayaka. Now, with less than 24 hours to go, preparations are underway for the much anticipated local authorities election. Now, let's move on to our package which encompasses every single happening which includes ahead of tomorrow's local authorities election. Now, election monitoring bodies Campaign for Free and Fair Election and People's Action for Free and Fair Election says that despite the magnitude of this year's local authorities election, reports on election law violations have been significantly low compared to previous elections. Meanwhile, police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara says that police officers present at polling stations are given the power to open fire at persons displaying a violent behaviour.
Speaking to First at 9, election monitors say that they have deployed their representatives to relevant areas.
For the upcoming local government elections, so far we have reported 864 cases. Out of that, there are 160 cases reported as violence incidents. But out of that, only 30 occasions we have reported that the people were admitted to the hospital. And we have reported 64 cases regard to misuse of the government resources and the government power. And also 182 cases reported bribing the people in a different ways. But in generally, we as observers, we are really happy with the existing situation in these elections. There are about 57,000 candidates are contesting in these elections, and also we are facing one-day elections all over the country. As an election monitoring organization, we are planning to deploy around 5,500 observers tomorrow, and we have trained 4,000 observers to be as a stationary observers at the polling station from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. We are planning to deploy around 250 mobile teams. They also ready to observe tomorrow, and also the same people will act as counting observers during the counting period in these elections.
We have seen the most peaceful election during the last 1.5 decades. It's very significant to note that the scale of violence and the gravity of the incidents in relation to the election violence is much lower than the previous elections, which is a very good sign when it comes to the representative democracy. In this election, we saw that more than 250 incidents of abuse of state property cases were reported, even though the scale of those incidents were very minimal. This is a good sign, as we saw that the citizens of Sri Lanka are making complaints to the relevant authorities, as it was very prominent that whenever these sort of complaints were made to the Election Commission and the other relevant authorities, there were actions taken place. So it is quite visible that the law enforcement has taken place in this election.
According to police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara, over 65,000 personnel, including the Police Special Task Force, will be deployed for this year's local authorities election. He added that police officers stationed for duty at polling centres are permitted to open fire at individuals displaying violent behaviour, while those who arrive at the centres intoxicated can be arrested. Furthermore, SP Ruwan Gunasekara said that the intelligence unit is currently investigating complaints of bribery at this year's local authorities election. Meanwhile, the Election Secretariat has established a National Complaints Investigation Centre to address any complaints or observations regarding the local authorities election. The centres will function from 6 a.m. onwards, and complaints or observations can be lodged via telephone and fax.
Ballot boxes and ballot papers were distributed to relevant district secretariats from 9 a.m. today. The Election Commission says that casting of votes will commence from 7 in the morning tomorrow as scheduled.
Over 15.8 million citizens are eligible to cast their votes in 24 districts across 13,374 polling cantos in the island tomorrow. Meanwhile, 175,000 government officials are set to engage in election-related activities. Distribution of ballot boxes and ballot papers was sent to relevant district secretariats from 9 a.m. today. It was reported there was a delay in ballot box distribution in the Gampar district, with the district's dispatch centre, the CNA National College of Education in Veyangoda, being unable to dispatch the relevant boxes even by 11:30 in the morning. The election officers on duty said that relevant officials were not given their appointment letter on time, leading to the delay. Meanwhile, delays also occurred in the distribution of ballot boxes within the Kandy district this morning. They were to be distributed from the Ranabima Royal College in Gannorua. It was reported that officials who were to report for duty were late. Meanwhile, ballot boxes and papers for the Madhu Award, which falls under the Balapitiya Pradesha Sabha, were delivered by boat across River Madhu. Meanwhile, we saw the sentiment of a few voters ahead of the election.
I will be voting tomorrow and then flying off also in the same time.
We hope who's selected will serve to the country.
Politics is enough.
Whoever comes to the power will have to do more considerate about the people. They can't just be sitting and warming their seats. They have to do what they have to do.
I'm going to vote, but really not so happy in the politics in Sri Lanka.
This will also be the first election under the mixed electoral system where 60% of members will be elected using first-past-the-post system and the remaining 40% through the proportional representation system. Even though elections were to be held at 341 local authorities, elections at the Alpitiya Pradesha Sabha came to a standstill following a court order. Their by-elections will be held at 340 local authorities, which include 24 municipal councils, 41 urban councils and 276 Pradesha Sabhas to select 8,356 members. Furthermore, 57,252 candidates from 43 political parties and 222 independent groups will contest in this year's local authorities election. As the election will feature preferential voting this time around, votes will be cast for the political parties or independent groups.
Every voter who are coming to the polling station to cast vote, they must bring with them one of the accepted identity documents which are approved by the recognized by the Election Commission. National identity card or valid passport or valid driving license, government pensioners identity card, senior citizen identity card, the clergy identity card which is issued by the Commissioner General of Persons Registration, or the special identity card issued by the Election Commission. Any voter who has been already registered as a elector in the voters register fails to submit or recognize an identity document cannot be issued ballot paper by the officials of the poll.
When the entire country is getting ready for the local authorities election, the Alpitiya Pradesha Sabha today was reduced to the day-to-day monotony. Alpitiya Pradesha Sabha is the only local authority where the election will not be worked off due to an injunction order issued by the Supreme Court on the 30th of January, halting elections.
Among the 19 local authorities in the Galle district, 17 wards are included under the Alpitiya Pradesha Sabha. 52,801 persons were eligible to vote for the Alpitiya Pradesha Sabha, while 155 contestants were registered to stand for election. However, the Supreme Court on the 30th of January issued an injunction order halting elections for the Pradesha Sabha in consideration of a fundamental rights petition filed by 3 contestants who submitted nominations from the Democratic National Front. According to the injunction order, the voters of the Alpitiya Pradesha Sabha do not have the opportunity to vote during the local authorities election that will be held tomorrow. People who come under the Pradesha Sabha, however, had this to say about the issue.
අපි සැදී පැහැදී හිටියා ඡන්දේ පාවිච්චි කරන්න. කනකාටු ඉතින් අපේ ඡන්දේ වටින ඡන්දයක් නේ. මේ අවස්ථාවේදීම ඡන්දේ දාන පාවිච්චි කරන්න තුනන තමයි හොඳ. අපිට දරාගන්න බැරි කනකාටුවක් දුකක් අතර අපි හරි වේදනාවකින් ඉන්නේ.
Along with the injunction order, the Supreme Court also ordered that notices be issued to the chairman of the Election Commission and the returning officer of the Galle district to appear before court on the 15th of this month.
Other Derana is geared up to bring you the latest results of the 2018 local authorities election as and when they are released. Teams of Other Derana are deployed across all the provinces in the island to bring the latest news on local authorities election with the use of latest technology straight into your living room.
Other Derana live telecast on the local authorities election will start from 7 a.m. tomorrow and will be with you until the final election result is released. You can also tune in to Dialogue TV and PEO TV channel number 14 for live election results telecast on channel Other Derana 24/7. Our radio channel is also ready to update you on the latest with regard to the election, and listeners can tune in to 92.2 and 92.4 for FM Derana. Television and radio are not the only avenues you can keep abreast of the local authorities election, as www.otherderana.lk is also set to update you on all the latest happenings in Sinhala, English and Tamil languages. You can also have interruptive access to relevant information via Other Derana Facebook, YouTube and Twitter accounts. A special web page has also been set up for the latest local authorities election results, accompanied with comprehensive analysis. Simply go to otherderana.lk/local authorities election 2018.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. Let's move on with other local stories. The Attorney General's Department today submitted written objections over the bail application of former Chairman of Perpetual Treasuries Arjun Aloysius and its Chief Executive Officer Kasun Palisena. The submissions were made before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court, with the decision set to be given on the bail application on the 16th.
The Attorney General's Department produced facts to the Colombo Fort Magistrate stating that they are against bail being granted to former Chairman of Perpetual Treasuries Arjun Aloysius and its Chief Executive Officer Kasun Palisena. The decision pertaining to bail application is set to be issued at 2 p.m. on the 16th following deliberations of all information submitted by both parties. Arjun Aloysius and Kasun Palisena, who were remanded in connection with the central bank bond issuance on the 7th of February, filed their written submissions in court requesting bail. The duo was arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department on the 4th following a complaint lodged by the incumbent governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy. In the meantime, Colombo High Court Judge R. Gurusingha today ordered to reconsider the case filed by the Bribery Commission against the chairman of Avantgarde Maritime Services Limited, Major Nishanka Senadipati and Major General Palitha Fernando on the 14th. On 1st of September in 2016, the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption filed charges at the Colombo Magistrates Court against Chairman of Avantgarde Maritime Services Private Limited and 7 others for incurring losses to the tune of 11.4 billion rupees to the government by paving way for the operation of a floating armoury by the Avantgarde Maritime Services.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Law and Order say that Sri Lanka's former ambassador to Russia, Dr. Udayanga Weerathunga, has been prevented from leaving the United Arab Emirates. Issuing a joint statement, the two ministers said the Sri Lankan, or more like former Sri Lankan ambassador, had been evading a warrant of arrest issued on the 20th of October in 2016 by a Colombo magistrate in relation to investigations pertaining to alleged embezzlement of public funds to the tune of $7.833 million with regard to procurement of MiG aircraft and money laundering. Now, the statement adds that on the basis of blue notice obtained by Interpol on Weerathunga, Sri Lankan authorities has been working through mutual legal assistance with a number of countries to trace his whereabouts. It adds that he was intercepted in the UAE on Sunday, the 4th of February, when he attempted to leave the United States. The statement clarifies that the arrest was made on the basis of a blue notice issued by the Interpol. However, as the law in the UAE and the rules governing body Interpol, blue notice prevented the continued detention of Weerathunga. He had been released by the UAE authorities subsequently, and he is presently in the UAE. The joint statement goes on to say that Weerathunga has been prevented from leaving the territory of the UAE until the conclusion of investigations launched by the UAE authorities. Dr. Udayanga Weerathunga told Other Derana yesterday that he was released by Interpol as there was no international charges or a red notice issued against him. Now, the central bank emphasises that to date, the government of Sri Lanka has maintained an unblemished record of debt servicing in accordance with service payment obligations recognised through the debt recording systems. Issuing a clarification over recent media reports on government debt, central bank insisted that it regularly and closely coordinates with the Ministry of Finance and External Resources Department of the Ministry of National Policies and Economic Affairs when recording debt in order to ensure the accuracy of published debt statistics. The financial regulator's clarification comes in a backdrop where Auditor General Gamini Vijayasinghe revealed a systematic camouflage of government borrowing to understate national debt and other fiscal data over the past decade.
Issuing a statement, the central bank said its attention was drawn to media reports on government debt recording and maintenance of accounts published recently. The financial regulator said it compiles and publishes central government debt based on its database on issuance of domestic debt and international commercial borrowings on behalf of the government, and also the information it receives from the Ministry of Finance and External Resources Department of the Ministry of National Policies and Economic Affairs. Central Bank clarified that in the compilation and servicing of central bank debt, it uses its own recording system with respect to domestic and international commercial borrowings. It added that central government debt so compiled by the central bank has been reviewed and accepted by international agencies, including the International Monetary Fund. The central bank concluded its statement noting that a debt management strategy is being formulated and that it is in the process of streamlining debt servicing liabilities with the passage of Active Liability Management Act. On Wednesday, the Auditor General Gamini Vijayasinghe convened a media briefing and stated that the country is faced with a massive debt crisis due to an inappropriate policy decision taken by government officials in the past 10 years.
The main reasons are obtaining large amounts of loans and sometimes obtaining these loans surpassing loan limits. And to cover this information, they had removed the relevant fiscal data from documents or transferred loans to other government institutions.
In the meantime, a group representing the joint opposition lodged a complaint with the Election Commission today against the statement made by the Auditor General on Wednesday pertaining to state debt.
We lodged a complaint with the chairman of the Election Commission about the statement. It was done in such a way that we will not be able to respond to these allegations. It is also relating to elections. The chairman said he will take necessary action after the elections. It seems that this statement was made upon someone else's request.
Now, Sri Lankan shares rose for a second straight session today and hit their highest close in more than 3 months, helped by retail buying in blue chip stocks. The all-share price index ended 0.45% firmer at 6,572.29 points, its highest close since 8th of November in 2017. Now, the bourse rose 0.8% during the week, recording its third straight weekly gain. Now moving on to US stocks, the Dow Jones Industrial Average sank more than 600 points yesterday as a renewed rise in US bond yields and fears of high inflation unnerve investors, still pacing over a historic drop earlier in the week. Major Asian markets also suffered sharp losses today following another day of steep falls on Wall Street.
The 10-year US Treasury yield rose to a high of 2.884% in the morning trade, nearing Monday's 4-year peak of 2.885% after the Bank of England said interest rates probably need to rise sooner than previously expected. That added to expectations that the world's major central banks are now firmly on course to wind down the emergency stimulus they have pumped through the financial system since 2009, driving an almost decade-long stock market rally. By the afternoon, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 499.18 points at 24,394.17. The S&P 500 was down 44.5 points at 2,637.16, while the Nasdaq Composite was also down 129.01 points at 6,922.98. To add to the woes, major Asian markets suffered sharp losses today following another day of steep falls on Wall Street, as the Dow Jones Industrial Average has now fallen more than 1,000 points. In a volatile week for global investors, Japan's Nikkei 225 index slid 2.3%, while China's Shanghai Composite slumped by 4.1%. Elsewhere in Asia today, saw Hong Kong's Hang Seng drop 3.1%, while South Korea's Kospi index traded down 1.8% and Australia's S&P and ASX 200 eased 0.9%. Those losses came as little surprise, with moves in major US markets providing the cue for global investors.
The Sri Lankan rupee ended firmer for a third straight session today, pulling further away from a record closing low hit earlier this week.
Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9 on Other Than a 24/7. Now, the US government shut down for a second time in weeks after Congress failed to pass a key budgetary measure on time. Lawmakers had hoped to approve a new spending bill before federal funding expired at midnight last night.
The US Senate and House of Representatives were expected to vote on a proposed budget deal yesterday that would avert another government shutdown, but that angered fiscal conservatives who complain it would lead to a $1 trillion deficit. The plan to keep the government operating and to increase spending over the next 2 years faced resistance from conservatives in the Republican Party who favor less spending on domestic government programs. At the same time, many liberal Democrats wanted to withhold their support as leverage to win concessions on immigration policy. However, hopes for a quick vote on legislation to keep the US government operating beyond midnight hit a snag yesterday when Republican Senator Rand Paul put up a roadblock.
We should have a full amendment process. We've been open for business 10 hours today. You can do 4 amendments an hour. We could have done 40 amendments. So it's a canard to say we can't have 1 amendment and can't spend 15 minutes debating whether or not it's good for the country to add $1 trillion in debt. So, Madam President, I object.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's younger sister, Kim Yo-jong, landed in South Korea today along with Kim Yong-nam, North Korea's nominal head of state. Her brother's private jet made a landing at the Incheon International Airport shortly before 2 p.m.
The white airplane had Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea's official name, inscribed in black Korean letters on its side, followed by the North Korean flag. Police formed barricades inside the airport from where the delegation was to leave for the mountain resort of Pyeongchang. Kim Yo-jong is the first member of North Korea's ruling family to visit the south, while Kim Yong-nam is the most senior North Korean official to make a cross-border trip. They were greeted at the airport by South Korean Unification Minister Cho Myong-gyeon. The pair will have lunch with South Korean President Moon Jae-in tomorrow.
Let's now take a look at some of the other emerging stories from around the world.
Syrian government airstrikes killed 59 civilians, including 15 children, and injured 139 others yesterday, the fourth day of attacks against a rebel-held region of eastern Ghouta near the Syrian capital Damascus. A video posted online by the Syrian civil defense group, known as the White Helmets, appears to show members rescuing wounded people, including a child, in the wake of what is purported to be an airstrike. North Korea marked the founding anniversary of its army with a large military parade in Pyongyang yesterday, after the date of the annual celebration was changed to the eve of the Olympics. Kim Jong-un was seen in a black hat and matching coat, saluting troops. During the speech, Kim said North Korea should develop military drills for modern war, since the US and its followers are making noise in the Korean peninsula. Police arrested 3 men yesterday suspected of enslaving 200 migrants on a British flower farm, in what officials called one of their largest crackdowns on the modern slave trade. At least 13,000 people are estimated by the UK government to be victims of forced labour, sexual exploitation and domestic servitude. But police say the true figure is likely far higher.
Time for sport. Now, it was a torrid day for Bangladesh, to say the least, as the hosts lost 6 wickets to a paltry 54 runs well before lunch on day 2 of the second test to end their first innings on 110 runs. There were minor hiccups when Sri Lanka came into bat in their second innings, but nevertheless at stumps, the visitors boast a comprehensive lead of 312 runs with 2 wickets still in hand.
Debutant Akila Dhananjay ransacked Bangladesh lower middle order in the morning, and Roshan Silva compiled a second high-quality 50 in the match as Sri Lanka claimed a 312-run lead and took an iron grip of the test. Bangladesh's meekness in the first innings has put them on the brink of a series loss. In the most dramatic period of the play on the day 2, the hosts lost their last 5 wickets for just 5 runs. Also driving Sri Lanka ahead on day 2 were Dhananjay De Silva, Dimuth Karunaratne and Dinesh Chandimal, none of whom got close to a half-century, but whose innings were vital nonetheless. Mehdi Hassan Miraz, the best of the home side spinners, took 2 for 29 from his 14th over and regularly raised wicket-taking opportunities. Taijul Islam also took 2 wickets and Abdul Razak finished with 1. The most potent weapon, however, was Mustafizur Rahman and his cutters. In a spell also envenomed by reverse swing, he took the wickets of Dilruwan Pereira and Dhananjay off successive balls and was unlucky to finish without at least 1 more scalp. Having earlier also trapped Danushka Gunatilaka in front of the stumps, he finished the day with 3 for 35. Sri Lanka ended the day on 200 runs for 8 wickets with Roshan Silva unbeaten on 58. Tomorrow is the day 3 of the match.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Let's now cross over to Chanela Fernando at the Other Derana Weather Centre for your Forecast First evening edition.
Good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Well, tomorrow will relatively be a warmer day with temperatures ranging between 20 and 31 degrees Celsius, with the lowest temperatures expected in the Central Hills. Well, looking at the map, a low pressure zone will form from the western province and will gradually disappear. Well, the sun will shine bright upon many areas of the island, including Jaffna, Mannar, Vavuniya and Anuradhapura. But that, however, will not be the same case in Galle, Mathura and Negombo, as they can expect some showers and thunder showers. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your City by City forecast.
And that's it from all of us at First to 9 here. But before we go, since it is Friday, it's time for the good story. Now, instances of bravery and selflessness are often words mentioned in books to depict fictitious heroes. This is a story about the actions of a living, breathing hero who comes in the form of a 19-year-old youth. Hasindu Madhushan rescued an 11-month-old infant after the baby was thrown into a well by its own mother. Hasindu jumped into a narrow well where many had second thoughts.
The incident dates back to the 1st of February when a mother threw her 11-month-old baby into a well in Kotavela, located in Karandenia. Hasindu Madhushan, who rescued the 11-month-old infant, is a resident of Karandenia and the only boy in his family. Investigations reveal that the mother of the infant is unmarried with hearing issues and has confessed that she threw her baby into a well. The 19-year-old youth was rewarded by the officer in charge of the Karandenia police station for his bravery, which reaffirms the existence of humanity.
And that's it from us. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye.